I'm Lisa, Lisa.
And I'm Mickey, Mickey. We're the Smith family. The first thing that I remember was looking at Lisa, and I even hate to say this, but I didn't recognize her. I cannot recognize the woman I'm sorry. Did not recognize the love of my life like that. You can't explain that.
Before the car accident, we just had a normal life. I mean, Mickey worked a job as a salesman, and I work from home. I homeschool the two that I still have at home, and so it's kind of like I split my time between the both. And we just, other than that, we hung out at church. So that's our basic day was like that.
The day of the car accident, I don't remember. So I know from what they told me, I was on an appointment, and I was headed home.
So late afternoon, he was on his way home, and that's when a welding truck hit him. Spun his car around, hit him again, and then he was off into a ditch. And I got a phone call a little bit later from an ER nurse in Waynesboro. That's how I heard about the accident. She let me know that the helicopter was on their way from Jackson, and I had a choice. I could get there in 30 minutes. I could ride with them from Waynesboro. If not, she suggested I go straight to Jackson. By the time I got there, Pastor David was already there, and Mickey's mom was already there. But to see Pastor David there was such a calming influence. Here was a man that I knew he knew the Word of God. That he would be there to stand and tell me the truth, no matter what anybody else said there. And that a man who would be praying with power, because he had the Word to back it up. And they let me back to see him. I sat there and I talked to him, but of course he was completely out at that point. He had 3 broken bones in his neck. One of them was what's called the occipital condyle, which is right at the base of your skull. That's the dangerous one they were most worried about. His shoulder was completely shattered and shoved through his shoulder blade. I mean, his whole arm was a mess, his whole side. Every rib was broken. He had a punctured lung. Yeah, well, I basically moved into the hospital after that point. I mean, he was in the ICU for 2 weeks. I didn't hear him for about 10 days. But I had a promise from the very beginning. But that next morning, when I woke up and I started my day with prayer, put on my worship music, and started praising God, and in my praise, God told me that He was going to restore Mickey. And it wasn't just going to be the same. He was going to restore him better than before. So I hung on to that, better than before, the whole time I was there. Once I heard that from God, it didn't matter. You know, the ups and downs of whatever.
The first thing that I remember was looking at Lisa, but I didn't recognize her. I cannot recognize the woman I'm sorry. Did not recognize the love of my life like that. You can't explain that. I don't remember much of the hospital at all. My memories really start kicking back in once I got back to home from that point forward.
Like he said, he didn't remember a lot of things. He would wake up, and every time he would wake up, it would be, I would have to start over from the beginning and tell him where our kids were, where he lived, what he did for a living, because he didn't remember those things. So I put the cards and the posters and things that people here from church and the children's groups that sent us, I had them up on the wall where I could point to them and I would say, that's from the kids' church, you know, or that's from the worship team. And I had pictures there and scriptures that people sent up there. And I would show him that, look, everything's going to be okay. You have a happy life and a happy home to go back to.
I do know that it has been an incredible blessing to have my church family around me and know that they have been supporting us all the way through. That's been incredible.
After having walked through that, God was with me every day, every step, every room, every doctor's visit. His nearness, I could feel that. And he made sure we had everything we needed. And this church was a big part of that. This church stepped up, took care of our needs so that I could take care of him. In many ways, God made sure that we never went without. And the gifts from this church were a big part of that. And so all our bills were paid. And we had food for our kids at home. This church made sure I knew that I was loved, cared for, prayed for, supported. If I needed anything, I knew all I had to do was ask Pastor Bob. If I could sum up the church in one word, what comes to mind is a rock. A rock where I could stand above the battle, that lifted me up, that helped me be strong. I would like to say that we have the best pastors on planet Earth and the best church family, but I definitely want to just let everybody know that these pastors care.
They do.
They love. They give up of themselves in their own time. They were there for us. I mean, when the rubber hits the road, we have pastors who love.
It's not an act for them. They're real. That's the one thing about this church that I've heard other people say, is that these people are real. You know, when they say, hey, we love you, they mean it. You know, it's not like, it's not a thing to say, it's a thing to do.
My name is Lisa.
And my name is Mickey.
And we are fam.